Hey guys, March 1st. Got into the creek the other day. Um, Came out with a few things. I first tried to get into what I call the trout pond site, but it was just the water was just too high and I couldn't get in there. So went up a couple miles up the creek and I was able to get into what I call the fish dam site. And I came out with a few things here. Thought I'd go over them with you. These are what I think are either these are effigies or ceremonial pieces, but that one I would for sure is a bird effigy or a grouse effigy. Um, this part here would be the neck part of the grouse, which is kind of roughed up, what they call a rough. The rough grouse are very common up here. And the head part here. Um, this bottom part or the body part here is all pecked out. And they would it would give it that kind of a rough grouse look with the neck there kind of showing, and then the body part here. And this piece here, I'm not real sure about. Possibly a turtle effigy or maybe a ceremonial piece. I'm not really sure. Anybody's guess on that, but I'm thinking maybe a turtle effigy. Kind of the head part here and then the body of the turtle. But possibly a snake effigy. Kind of hard to say. Not real sure. Or ceremonial piece. Pretty sure on this one's a bird effigy. Kind of see the eye that's kind of pecked out right in here. This side of this granite piece has got quite a bit of mica in it, which kind of gives it that shiny look there. If you look at the back side, you'll see how they work these pieces out. And so there's, the more just the granite, but this whole top's been worked out. And then they leave, just the impression on the other side to form the figure or the effigy. You can see where it's all been worked off here on this side. Still see a little bit of the edges, from the other side where they try to form the effigy. But that's kind of how they did a lot of these effigies, and I've got other examples of this that I may show you one day. But this is a scraper blade here. You can see where they've tapered this thing down here. They've just kind of flaked this off down to a pretty good edge right here. And then this back side here, they've got it kind of dimpled out, so pretty worn right in through here. I'm pretty sure that was used for scraping. But again, you can see where they've actually tapered this stone down. This is a chopping stone, and I've got quite a few that are like this, numerous ones. And they kind of use the same format almost all the time on the ones that are this size. But they'll have this part of the stone that's thicker, and they'll smooth it off and kind of put a few angles on it so your finger can kind of lay in there like that. It's been dimpled out right in here. You can see there's a lot of oil right in here from the fingers, and some on the top there too. And then they would taper it down to an edge like that. They would use it to chop or scrape, but they would hold it just like that. Real comfortable, good design, works well. This is a hand chisel or a celt, whatever you may want to call it. That's the edge there. There's where it's been worked all around the sides here. Pretty nice piece. Pretty worn on that edge though. But probably be held in a hand like this. And they could use that for chopping, but some of the edges are a little bit more beveled and pronounced than that one. But anyway, that's what I call a hand chisel. And here's just a small quartz pecking stone that I found. I really like finding these little pieces. It's a perfect rectangle, and it's been shaped that way. See where it's all been pecked out here in these areas here. They would just hold it like that and just do some pecking on some small items. Really worn on the end there. They would polish the edges so it'd make it comfortable in your fingers. This is kind of a rather large polishing stone that I found. You see where they worked it all down through this edge here. It's kind of banana shaped. I've got several of them that are like this. Pecked it off all through here. They put a lot of work into this stone actually, and smoothed it off. And this is the polishing surface here. It's kind of like a banana shape. Got a taper in it, you know. I'm gonna peck the back end out a little bit there. But I'm going to use that one probably to maybe work on some preforms or something like that. Some bigger tools. And here's a smaller polishing stone, and kind of that wedge shaped. There's a polishing surface there. It's really slick. It's like slick as glass. See where it's worn around the edges. And pecked down in the back a little bit. It'll be held like that probably. But that's a nice little tool there. And this is a braider. These here in the southeast are a little bit different than some of the ones, at least in this area, than what you'll find in the Midwest or the West. What they would do is they would knock this 90-degree angle into the stone here, and they would run that shaft along this edge here, and that would take off the bark and knots. So they rounded it off this whole back side, kind of smoothed it off, and it'd be held like this in the hand, and that shaft would run right through here, and it would take off, you could take off that bark and knots. I've got several of these. One day I'll demonstrate how it works. It's pretty effective. So people used different ideas in different areas, but that's what that is, and it's a braider. And these are game pieces, I think. A little small triangle. You see where they've formed it all the way around. Knock these edges off into a little perfect little triangle. Don't think it was a tool. I think it was some type of ceremonial or game piece made out of granite. And this is this black stone with some vein quartz running through it, and this is very highly polished stone. And I've got several like this, and I'm not 100% sure about them if they were ceremonial pieces, but almost all the ones I have like this that are super polished like this have some kind of quartz vein or some kind of real pretty design running through them. So I don't know if they were ceremonial pieces or just what they were used for. But they did a lot of work to polish them down, you know, the way they did, like this. It's a beautiful stone. Got a lot of crystal matter in it, but it's real smooth. And here's a little small axe. You know, some people would say, oh, it's just a river stone. It just was formed like that by the river. But they would look at these stones, and if they had potential, they would actually modify them, and it would be easy for them to modify them into a working tool. And that's probably what they did with this stone here. They polished off this end here, ground it down to make a little bit better point on it. And on this end right here, they worked this back end off right here. You can see the marks where they actually pecked it out right there to taper that back end off. So that, I'm pretty sure, was an axe head of some kind, a small one, and it was either hafted or inserted into a stick. Like that, or this end would be actually inserted into a stick. And this is what I call a blunt axe, and that's a really nice one actually. It's really old. It's been around a long time, and it's been worked all around this stone. It's been pecked all on these flat surfaces, these big surfaces, into shape. All this has been pecked out here on both sides, here, and here, and really made into a nice axe head. Probably this tool was used more for like hammering, but it would be a hafted tool, either that or inserted on this end here into a large stick. But that's a nice piece. I found that walking out, actually. It was the last step coming out of the creek, and I looked down and picked that up. Probably one of the better finds of the day. It's a nice axe head. This gets over into some hammerstones that I found. This is a solid quartz one here. You can see all the wear on it. Pretty nice little piece there. That's where it would be struck right in through here and all around these edges. This dark spot here is where the fingers would be at, be held like that. But that's a nice little small hammerstone. And here's another small hammerstone here, more of a biscuit shaped, but you can see the wear on it all around the edges here. You see where it's been worked all around the edges. And this part here, probably they use some of this surface too to do some polishing. It's real smooth. This side's all been pecked off. Nice little tool though, nice little stone, nice little find. And this is a bigger hammerstone here, a little dimpled out right in here. Quite a bit of wear on it too, where the fingers would be at in these slots right in here. A nice little hammerstone. And this piece here, as best I could tell, I think it's a seed planter. But you can see where they've taken out this black stone, really hard, dense stone. They've taken out this area, this surface in here, this surface up here. And they've polished it off on this side right here and kind of tapered it. And your fingers fit, your thumb fits perfectly in there, and your finger would wrap around there. So that's a really easy way to hold this thing. And they would probably just dig about an inch hole in the ground and drop a seed in and just keep going. But I'm pretty sure that's what that is a seed planter. Somebody put some work into it. They had to notch it all out and do a little polishing. This is what I got for the day. I hope you enjoyed it. I appreciate you guys coming in and checking out my videos. Of course, any kind of feedback I would be more than happy to have. Have a good day.